walked in fields of gold. Thank you.
Thank you. Our dual hymns. Thank you. That was beautiful. Good morning. So today, my title is Wisdom of the Ages. Traditionally, January is always the month that we kind of go over what are the principles of this philosophy so that people can remember again and use the principles again. And the Science of Mind textbook, which is actually a book called The Science of Mind, the first 4 introductory chapters really tell you everything you need to know. That is the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. And those 4 I have used for like 30-some years as a minister. This year we did things a little bit different. We used some different books that Ernest Holmes had written. And today I want to kind of combine them as to what we teach and what the wisdom of the ages teach. What is being taught around the world. Dr. Ernest Holmes opens the Science of Mind textbook with the philosophy of religious science is nothing new in the world. It's rather a synthesis of the greatest concepts that have ever come to the mind of man. The law of Moses, the love of Jesus, the Christ, the ethics of Buddha, the morals of Confucius, the deep realization of the Hindus, the mystical revelations of the saints of the Middle Ages, and anybody who has found truth. So it's not only just finding truth, but using truth. I remember when my mother, who was Catholic, was pretty upset that all of a sudden I wasn't going to a Catholic church. I was going to something different, or she thought it was kind of weird, the name. And I said, Mom, don't worry, it's just a philosophy. It's just a way of life. So a few years later, when I became a minister, she's like, well, how can you be a minister to a philosophy? Oh, trying to make her feel good. Now all of a sudden, so I said, Mom, I'm a minister to the philosophy of life. Whatever made her feel good. So years she would ponder how her daughter could have left the Catholic Church. And one day, I lived in Seattle, Washington, and I'd come here to visit her. She lived in Sunset Hills. And one day I walked in, she said, I finally figured out what religion you are. Now I probably was like 10 years into it. And I'm like, great, Mom, what is it? She said, you're Jewish. I said, okay, if that makes her feel good, we are all of that. You could say we're Buddhist, we're Jewish, we're Hindu, we're Christian. We're all of that because there's major truths that if we recognize them and live them, they are in all of the world religions. And there's 3 that are really important that I'm going to kind of cover today. The first truth is, and all the mystics sense this, that we live one life. There's one life common to all. Truth 2 is the mystics have agreed that our life is ours to do with as we choose, but we can turn to the one and receive inspiration. And truth 3, we have all agreed that the soul is on a pathway of experience, of self-discovery, of going back to what they call our Father's house. And the word mystic comes from a Greek word mystikos, and it really means closing your eyes and having an inner experience of the ultimate reality. Closing your eyes to the outer world and going within to that mystical part, that mystical place. You know, when I began realizing that life was all one, I was sort of a beginner in this philosophy. I was in my 20s. I was in my mother's house at night, sleeping in one of her bedrooms, and all of a sudden I awakened to the room filled with this presence that felt like total love. And I looked over to the wall, and the wall was gone, and all I could see was the trees across the street, and I could see the veins on the leaves of all the trees. And I didn't have my glasses on, and I had terrible vision. And so it's like all of a sudden I had this incredible vision, and I could see these leaves, and this energy, it was an energy of love, spoke to me and said, everything is okay. And everything is always going to be okay. And I went, hey, that's cool. Okay. And I went back to sleep. But that energy stayed with me. Whenever anything happened in my life and I'm like, what is this all about? Why is this? I would just go back to remembering everything's okay. We're on a journey. So we're gonna look at the first truth that is in all religions, is that there is one power, one presence, one life. It's whole, complete, and perfect. It's the one life that animates all of life. Not just people, but all of life. Teilhard de Chardin, a great Catholic mystic, he would always talk about, you can find God in the rocks, in the trees, in the flowers. And you can find that divine presence within you. Teilhard de Chardin said, this is a journey, but it's within you. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, he does the steps of prayer. The first part of prayer is acknowledging there is one power, one presence, one life. There is only the one. Jesus the Christ said there is one. There cannot be two, or it would be opposing each other. There's only one presence, one life. So that's the first truth. And there is this rabbi, David Cooper, who wrote a great book called God is a Verb. Isn't that neat? And what he would say is that we have to live from that one life. Regardless of what religious affiliation somebody is, our job is to live from that one life, to recognize that one power, to be part of that flow of the one power. So we all live that one life. And so the second thing that this Rabbi David Cooper would say is that we have to be born again into that spirit, that we have to know, we have to awaken. He says, you're slumbering, awaken. As he was teaching people, sometimes they would be in the audience sleeping, and he'd go up, awaken. Touch the person next to you and say, awaken. That's what he would do all the time, because we have to awaken to that truth. We go around as if we're in a daze or we're sleepwalking, forgetting that we're all one, that there's this power and presence that is our life. So our job is to awaken. So truth number 2, individuality. And this is kind of like the biggie. Ernest Holmes said, our life is ours to do with as we choose. We can't blame God for things that happen in our life, because we are an individual and we can choose what we want to focus on. We can choose how we want to think. We can choose how we teach people, how we treat people. We can choose our path and the way we're going to walk it. Yesterday, I watched the movie called Harriet. How many of you have seen the movie called Harriet? It's a movie about Harriet Tubman, who was amazing. She was a slave in the South. She got out of the South by herself, a journey of 100 miles to get into the free states I believe she went to Maryland. And she went back 17 times and brought family and friends from the slave plantations and journeyed with her to the north. But what was so amazing about her is that she constantly listened to the divine. her sole way of guiding them out of the south into the north was to stop and hear what Spirit wanted to tell her. It's like she said, I didn't do this on my own. I was guided by that divine voice. People would be real close to her, miles from her, with dogs barking and trying to find her. And she would just stop and listen and go, let's go this way. And she would know which way to go to get away from it. She actually brought more people out of slavery to the north than anybody else. And then she went back when the Civil War started, and she was the head of a whole group of people in the Civil War that also helped free the slaves in the South. There was something about that movie that touched me so deeply. I think it should be a requirement for everyone to watch it every year. And I thought, February is Black History Month. And I thought, okay, I'm just starting a few days early. I'll use this in February. And yet I have to tell you about it now because I am sitting there crying, recognizing that this lady, not only did she save lives, but she listened to the divine. That's, to me, half of what the movie is about is showing someone that listened and followed through. See, one of the things a lot of people do is sometimes we listen, but we don't follow through. And later, remember somebody I know has said this later on, you go, I heard that, but I didn't do it. And that's what was so cool about Harriet, is that she heard it and she did it. So where in our life are we willing to step out and help change this world? Her message was, I can help people. I can change this country. And she did. I went to watch it because I know they're talking about putting her on the $20 bill. And there was a little controversy about putting her on something that deals with money, because what she was about was spirit. And so I wanted to watch the movie to see why they were saying that, and I got it. She was not at all about what money buys. She was on what the Spirit guides us to, helping other people, opening to love, walking that path of Spirit. But you know what? I'm fine if they want to put her on a $20 bill. Put her on something. Get statues to this lady out there. She was an amazing woman. So that's your homework for next week, is to go on TV and find the movie Harriet. How many's going to do it? Okay, great. And I'll even watch it again. So it's that the personal and spiritual expansion and revolution. The revelation of walking in that steps of Spirit. The revelation that may turn into a revolution because your whole life is going to change when you start listening and following that guidance. It's like you will be a different person. That's one of the things I've known in my life, is that if I follow what Spirit says, something good opens up. Like, for instance, this dress that I have on today, I bought it a few months ago, came in the mail, and it was all wrinkled, wadded up in a little ball. I think it was from wish.com, which I don't often order from because I know it comes all wrinkled. Well, it just so happens when our house burned down in August, our ironing board and our iron burned up. So we haven't actually had an iron. So here it is, this wrinkled dress that has been hanging there for like 3 months. So Friday I said, Larry, let's go buy an iron. I'd like to wear that dress. So we went to Bed Bath & Beyond and we bought an iron. And I thought, it doesn't do any good to know, like I knew the dress needed to be ironed, if I wasn't willing to do something like get an iron to do the job. Sometimes we know something, but we're not willing to take that other step. Now, I still don't have an ironing board, but Larry used a towel on the kitchen counter, and he ironed it for me this morning. Thank you, Larry. Yes. Because I said, Larry, the ironing board was in your office that burnt up. So guess what? Yeah, come up with another ironing board. So, I mean, this is all spirit. This is all being guided by spirit. This is all about doing something different. It's all about listening to that power within. And you know what the truth is? The divine doesn't care if it's something little like an iron or something bigger. Aswarian, in his book Meditation, talks about meditation. It's a great book on it. And he talks about having a system, having a pattern, having a day, having a time that you're going to do it, because meditation is so important. And he said one day he visited this man who had written a lot of books on meditation. And he said, wow, you are such a prolific writer. And he goes, yeah. He said, I am so busy writing and reading that I never take the time to meditate. And it's like, we can't be so busy reading about this stuff. We have to take the time to sit down and meditate. Actually, last Wednesday at 9 in the morning, it was so neat, just rolling over in bed and turning my phone on to Zoom and listening to Larry's meditation for 15 minutes. And I thought, wow, it's so easy. You know, we don't have to make this meditating every day hard. We can find an app that helps us with it. We just have to make the time and make it part of our attention, because if we're going to live the powerful truth, the one truth that everything's one, and the second truth that it's up to us how we're going to live, that we are at choice, we need to make some choices that support our ongoing awakening. We say, yeah, I'm going to awaken, but I don't have time to meditate. You're probably not going to awaken a whole lot, but you might. You know, maybe you just hold that intention, I'm awakening. Maybe you don't have to do anything. Just keep it holding the intention. I'm awakening. I'm awake. Maybe that's all you need to do. Or maybe you'll be nudged by spirit. See, if you're nudged by spirit, do what you're nudged to do, which might be get a meditation practice. We can all awaken. We can all become enlightened. We can all transform darkness into light. Kabir, the mystical 14th century poet in India, said, "Where do you go in search of God?" He said, "Nowhere. He is always with you." And then they asked Meister Eckhart, and he said, "No one can know God who has not first known himself. Go to the depths of the soul, the secret place, to the roots, to the heights, for all that God can do is focused there." And then the Dalai Lama said, "The enlightenment, true enlightenment, is nothing but the nature of one's own self being fully realized." And Jesus said, "Go into the inner chamber." You know, that's what everyone is saying. There's one power, and we can be part of it. We can go within it. So the third truth of all major religions is they have all agreed that the soul is on the pathway of experience to self-discovery. Discover who we are. So no matter what religion you are studying, you're going to find these three truths. And you know, it's up to us to be willing to live them, to do something different, to experience life at greater heights, to be able to see the good, to be able to focus on the good. Marcia and I have this class called Mental Equivalence. This is like off the subject. I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. But I saw her back there and I thought, yeah, this class we're teaching on Zoom on mental equivalence is fabulous. And it's information that everyone has already known, but it's hearing it again in a different way, concentrated with certain time, what is your mental equivalent? What's your mental equivalent of love? What's your mental equivalent of friendship? It means, what is it that represents that to you in your life? Is relationships about love? Relationships about friendship? Then that becomes your mental equivalent. What is money to you? It might be freedom. That becomes your mental equivalent. You know, so many people are guided to do something different, to help the world, and they're afraid. And we step back and we say, no, I can't do that. Just little things we invite you to do, which is bringing a canned good to help our local food pantry. How many of you remembered today? 2 of us. 3. Larry, 4, 5. Actually, Larry remembered. I got the canned goods out, but he put them in a bag and brought them. You know, it takes that extra step. What are you going to bring to the table of spirit? What are you going to give? What gift do you have? So I can't wait to talk to all of you next week when you have watched the movie Harriet, and you can come and tell me what you thought about it, how it changed your life. Next week I get to celebrate 18 years as a senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living. Isn't that amazing? That means I met you 18 years ago, Bo. Yeah. Bo was one of the first people I ever met here. I actually wasn't the minister. I was speaking on a Wednesday night, and she came up to me, and I said, oh my God, I want to look like you when I grow up. I mean, isn't that a very spiritual thing to say? And we've been friends ever since. Life just keeps rolling on. We keep uncovering and discovering new things. So make a discovery this week. See how you're living one of those 3 truths from all the world religions, and have a fabulous week. God bless you. Namaste. Thank you. And now we have an opportunity to give. I know we can never outgive God. If I picked up a little card in the bookstore because I'm making a special donation in honor of Dorothy Elliott. And then I'm making a special donation in honor of the fact that I'm so glad we're open. And I know that these 2 help us stay open. And whatever is your gift, just give it with love. I know a lot of you automatically give online, and I want to thank you for that. Maybe I don't acknowledge that enough, but I want you to know that we feel very blessed by that. So whatever is your gift today, just hold it in your hand and just bless it, knowing that it's the power of God going forth, blessing all those around you, blessing you and returning to you, multiplied, pressed down, and running over. You can never outgive God. Give whatever you can. Give a little bit or a lot. It's all spirit. It's God in action. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. And Tony will have the basket out in the lobby if you miss him as he comes through. And now, Tim and Tim. Let's give them a hand.
Wanted to do a song that I wrote it a few years ago, and when I started with the song, I had the first verse down. I really didn't know what it was about, and the second verse kind of came along, and I realized that I had this picture of a young woman running from something, from someone, and then the next line came up that the hounds were chasing her. And then I realized it was a song about runaway slaves and about slavery and the Underground Railroad. And Mary Jean, I had no idea what your talk was about today, but maybe Spirit was working that I chose this song. So it's called the, what's the song called? I'm not real great with titles. The Watchman. feel the winter's wind. Patch up your shingles before the rain pours down. Clean out your cellar, the junk man's coming round. The night is long, traveling's far. Gotta keep on moving past the old graveyard. Holding your breath, it won't do no good. The hounds are coming just like you knew they would. Shadow spreads, sun is sinking low. The night will come, be ready to go. Watchman stands at ready to sound. We have no clue where we are bound. When daybreak comes, you gotta lay real low. Reaching out your hand, underground we'll go. The train is here, and no whistle sounds. It's night again, and we're northern bound. Shadow spreads, sun is sinking low. The night will come, be ready to go. Watchman stands at ready to sound. We don't care as long as we're northern bound. Don't take too much to get me moving about. Meet me at the crossroads at the midnight hour. Not much to bring, carry on your back. Your whole life collected in your sack. Shadow spreads, sun is sinking low. The night will come, be ready to go. Watchmen stand at ready to sound. But we don't care as long as we're northern bound. Shadow spreading, we're reaching across the land. But we've come so far, just trying to stand. Watchman is lost in his dream. We are caught somewhere in between. Thank you.
That was beautiful. That is interesting. You have a song about Harriet as I'm talking about her. So when you watch the movie, you'll see how perfect that song is. Let's just take a moment and move into prayer. As you listen to the bowls, move yourself into a castle or a monastery in Tibet, where you're just moving within to that divine essence that you are. Living from that one life In this temple of prayer, if there is somebody that you know in your life you would like to put a prayer out for, if there's something that you know is needed, call out their name and let that divine energy take over. Todd, Tammy, Bob. And now call out your name, Mary Jean. For I know that that one power, that one presence, that one life that is whole, complete, and perfect is my life and your life right now. It is the life of everyone whose name has been uttered, either in this room or wherever you are as you call out that name. That divine energy knows exactly what's needed. As we open up to our connection, as we give thanks for our connection, as we know that that one power and presence is our very life, we are always guided to greater good. Today is the day that we take that stand to say, yes, I'm willing to be guided. Yes, I'm willing to do things in a different way. Yes, I'm willing to love more. For I know that each one of us has the opportunity to listen to that presence and follow it. But we can choose. That's what's so beautiful about this experience. We can choose to follow that divine guidance. We can choose to be loving. We can choose to remember every day the truth of who we are. We can choose to do affirmations that affirm that power, that affirm that new life that we are creating. We can choose, and as we choose, we know we are guided home. We're guided home to that divine presence that is our very essence. We are guided to greater good, to greater joy, to greater peace. For that power, that presence, that life is our life right now. We can turn away from anything that's bothering us and turn towards that which we desire. That peace, that harmony. Turn towards those possibilities of spirit. And we can take that next step. So I declare and know for each one of us today that there is a shift in our consciousness. That shift to that knowing the power that we are. Knowing that divine force that lives, moves, and has its being as each one of us. For I accept for me, and I allow you to accept for you, greater good is unfolding. I bless this life experience. I bless each one of us on our path. Giving thanks that my word comes back fulfilled through each one of us. I give thanks knowing this is true, and with a heart full of gratitude, I let it be so. And as we say together, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, Sherry. Tomorrow is February 1st. So what can we do different in February?
Be more loving.
Be more loving. Okay. And now we have one closing song. Isn't that right? By our masters. And then we'll have our closing affirmation together. Let's give Tim and Tim a hand.
So Tim pulled this song out, and it's a song that I used to play when I played music in the Catholic Church for 14 years. So.
Oh, Mother will love this.
Who knew?
Nope, there goes that. Hopefully you know it. How can I keep from singing? And if you can join in on the refrain. Life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds and echoes in my soul. How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Whence love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Though the tempest round me come, I hear the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Can I keep from singing? Thank you.
So we got the Harriet story and the Catholic Church story, and wow, isn't that something? Your songs reflected both of those stories. Okay, well, let's do our affirmation together. You can repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening in me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my body. Love is in my mind. Love is in everything I do. I receive it. I share it. I am it. I accept life just the way it is and just the way it is not. Thank you, divine presence of love. And so it is. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Know that you are in the presence of the divine at every moment, and know that you are loved. Thank you for being here. Namaste.